Ahmad Hardy is among the best running backs in college football, and he may be the runaway candidate for RB1 of the 27 NFL draft class.
You are Locked On NFL Draft, your daily podcast covering the NFL Draft. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Welcome back to the Locked On NFL Draft Podcast. I'm Damian Parson. That's Keith Sanchez. And today's episode is brought to you by FanDuel, the biggest stage in world soccer is here. Let there be goals on FanDuel. Visit FanDuel.com to get started. Now, on today's episode, we're breaking down Ahmad Hardy, the star running back for the Missouri Tigers, coming off back-to-back 13-plus 100-yard rushing seasons. We're going to explain the grade for him and give you any comps that come to mind. We're going to break down the concerns and kind of what we want to see him improve on and what could hold him back as a prospect. But let's, as we always do, let's start off with the pros, with the good things, Keith. Ahmad Hardy last season rushed for 256 carries. He rushed for 1,649 yards with 16 touchdowns on the season, listed at 5'10", 205. This is a low center of gravity bowling ball running back, Keith, that was highly productive back-to-back years. Transferred from ULM to Missouri last season. Keith, what stood out on tape for you?
Man, yards after contact. This guy is tough to bring down. I mean, you talked about his stature. His stature leans itself towards being a tough guy to bring down. This is a guy with really thick lowers, powerful lower half, very dense. And then good overall body strength, right? And the combination of those two things kind of sets the table. So I look at him and, just his ability to bounce off of defenders, run through defenders. And then when he's on that second and third level, the upper body strength comes in effect because he uses that stiff arm. And he's a consistent stiff arm guy. So you're talking about using one defender to bring him down, DP. I think that'll be very difficult to do. He's a guy that in game plans, you have to tell, hey, all 11 guys to the football. It has to be 11 guys to the football because if you're consistently counting on one safety to fill a gap or something like that to bring him down, he's going to hit the home run. And he showed that too because he had multiple long runs last year, 30, 40, 50, 60. I think one even he had for 70 yards throughout the season. So, yards after contact is huge for this young man because he is very difficult to bring down.
Yeah, that was one of the first notes I wrote down was great contact balance, near elite contact balance. This young man, I always use the term pinballing. He pinballs off of tackles. He can absorb contact as a runner, but he also dishes out contact as a runner. And that's the best of both worlds for me, Keith. I love that about his game. And even to the point where, like, not even just the contact balance, but forcing missed tackles with the recut ability, footwork, being able to change levels and just plant and get around guys. Like, there's in the stats community, there's a stat. It's like, I think PFF always says, like, missed tackles force, right? And that's such a stat that can be very misconstrued because I see people use it. I think people used it for Ashton Genty when he was at Oregon. And I'm like, he's not forcing missed tackles. He's breaking tackles. And for me, it's like, those are two different things. When you force a missed tackle, Bijan, Jahmyr Gibbs, Christian McCaffrey, they don't have to break tackles as much as they force you to miss tackles. These are elusive, quick, agile guys that are very hard to tackle because it's hard to get hands on them, right? Where Genty was a more downhill power runner who didn't use a lot of jump cuts and things like that to evade guys. So with Ahmad Hardy, I think he gives you both. I think he gives you the ability to break tackles because, like, arm tackles is not going to get to him. Like you're talking about, he's a contact, dense built running back. And you see him, especially up top too, like, this is a dude who you could tell works out. And so you think about defensive tackles, Keith, or linebackers being engaged with blockers and sticking that arm out to try and grab him. It's like, yeah, good luck. Like, he's going to run straight through that. Like, you know what I mean? Your arm is going to hit him and then slide off like a windshield wiper. Like, it's not going to stick onto him whatsoever. And then he gets in the open field, but then he has the footwork and the pacing to be able to also force missed tackles and force you to dive and miss and things like that. So he can run through arm tackles. He's got, like you said, that stiff arm is deadly. Like, he times it so well. Like, once he gets into the second and third level of the defense, if you're a safety thinking that you're just going to close over to the sideline, it's going to be sweet, Yeah, just get prepared to get punched in the face, man. It's like he's going to straight arm you with everything he's got. And I think we talked about what Nick Marshall on Monday. It was like, man, he's an angry player after the catch, right? Ahmad Hardy is. I'm not even going to just say he's he don't want to be tackled. So it's like he feels it. It's almost like that clip of MJ was like, I take that as disrespect. Like that's what Ahmad. If you think you're going to tackle him one-on-one consistently, he comes off as a guy the way he plays. Like that's disrespectful to him. Like that you feel that confident that I can bring him down the open field one-on-one. This is and Keith, and you talk about the long runs. I think that, and we'll talk about it maybe at the end of the show. That's what separates. That's kind of a separation point between him and Kiwan Lacy for me. I saw him break big runs over and over again. Where we talked about it on yesterday's show with not yesterday, but on yesterday's show, yeah, with Kiwan Lacy was just kind of like, all right, it's a lot of volume. It's a lot of heavy volume. You know what I mean? Matter of fact, let me pull that graphic up for those watching on YouTube. 256, 1649. If I remember correctly, Kiwan Lacy was 306 for like 1,500 and some change, which shows the big playability of Ahmad Hardy, that he's able to get chunk yardage.
Yeah, I agree. And it's something you wouldn't necessarily expect from a guy that's compact built, dense, like that has this type of frame, right? Like usually you don't associate just explosiveness and speed with this situation. Yeah. And honestly, and also the way he plays the game. So it lends itself towards being an all-around back. But I want to go back to something and kind of really flush out a thought that you mentioned earlier, the footwork, DP. There was multiple instances where this guy is the track, right? The track for the running back is the front side, and he bounces it all the way backside. He forces defenses to have to stay disciplined. And that's the issue, right? Is that you have this guy that if you stay disciplined, then it's supposed to be a hat on a hat, right? But you need multiple defenders to bring him down. That backside defender can't come chase him down because he might make that backside defender miss, right? And then now he's out of the gate. And I think that happened multiple times. I can't remember what game it was. Might have been Mississippi State. I can't remember. But he'll consistently do that and put himself in good situations. So I was actually thoroughly impressed with his lateral agility and footwork. And it leans itself more towards what you're saying too, just overall balance. I think he's so effective because he runs behind his pads well, but he has a natural leverage capability to where he doesn't have to have a lot of tilt, right? Like it's not like he's falling forward. Right. He just has natural pad height and pad leverage to where he's always in a balanced situation. It's not like, okay, cool, I'm gonna just put my head down and go forward, lean forward. Then the minute somebody clip my foot, then I'm gonna fall down forward, right? It's not that. Like he's in a balanced posture to where he can absorb contact and keep going.
No, 100%. To your point, Keith, he averaged 4.6 yards after contact per attempt. So almost another 5 yards after he gets contacted. Like this is probably one of the more like just pure runners that we've seen over the last couple of years with the running, and we've seen some really good running backs. You know what I mean? I'll let the cat out the bag. I don't know if anybody's gonna grade up to Jeremiah Love and being a top 10 pick at the running back position in this class, but he's one of the more just pure natural runners, in my opinion.
Yeah, his style is very old school to me.
Yes,
which I respect. His build is very old school, right? Like we talk about the Jahmyr Gibbs, the Jeremiah Loves. We got into this kind of slighter era of running backs because we want them to be able to catch the ball out of the backfield and things like that. But it'll be interesting. DP, let's do this, man. We talked about the pros, right? The highlights of Ahmad Hardy. Let's talk about the concerns, right? What are some of the things that we need to see from him to potentially lock him in as a top 10 pick in the 2027 NFL draft class? Let's discuss that coming up next.
The biggest stage in world soccer is here, and every match feels like it has the potential for a memorable moment. One goal can completely change the energy of a game, shift momentum, and alter the outcome in an instant. That's what makes tournament soccer so exciting, from the opening whistle to the final kick. And now FanDuel is giving fans another reason to stay locked into every match with every goal pays. Bet on the match and get bonus bets for every goal scored in that match. More goals means more bonus bets. All you have to do is turn on your token. And not only can you bet on the World Cup, you can get in on an early NFL draft betting odds by selecting and betting who will be the number one overall pick before the season even starts. And when you look at just the options, Sam Levitt, quarterback for LSU, plus 5,500. Same for John Mateer, quarterback for Oklahoma. But if you really want to swing big, Trinidad Chambliss is a plus 8,000. So, guys, it's simple. From the opening whistle to the final kick, let there be goals on FanDuel. Visit FanDuel.com to get started now. Get your daily Locked On NFL draft fix ad-free, completely ad-free by joining the Everydayer Club today. Start your 7-day free trial right now and get closer to your team. Me, Keith, your favorite NFL draft analyst, without the interruptions. Click the link in the show notes to go to LockedOnNFLDraft.supercast.com to claim your free trial today. The concerns, Keith, for Ahmad Hardy. We heaped a ton of praise on this young man at the start of the show, but as we always talk about, we talk about the good and the things that concern us. What concerns you when you look at Ahmad Hardy's skill set and game going into the NFL?
Yeah, I think his running style, DP, right? It's automatically, I think, for some people going to say wear and tear, right? Just because he's such a violent runner, he invites contact, he's not afraid of it. There's going to be contact, right? And we talked about his speed. It's weird watching him because there are times in the first 10 to 15 yards, I want to say, okay, he looks like a 4.55 athlete. And then there's times in the open field where he looks like a 4.3 athlete, right? Or like a 4.4 flat. So I think in that first 10 to 15 yards, you know how Jahmyr Gibbs had that gear to where he couldn't be touched, right? So it reduced the amount of contact on him. Ahmad Hardy out of the gate is not having that gear. So all of those defenders in range, DP, it's not that he's necessarily just making them miss. It's contact, I'm bouncing off. Contact, I'm bouncing off. So this young man, it appears he's probably going to take a lot of hits. And so when you look at that running style, you're going to lean yourself towards, okay, what is the longevity portion of this?
No, that's a good point, Keith, because that was something I had written down too, his running style. He's a physical runner, but I think it goes back to what we talked about Kiwan, like Kiwan with all the carries, but it's like, okay, your body type doesn't lend that you can have this high amount of carries going into the NFL or as an NFL running back. It's almost similar for Ahmad Hardy in the sense of, man, like you're a physical runner, you're tough, you love to get downhill. He's a one cut and go type of back, wide zone. Like, you know, if I think they got they have a kid in San Fran, but if Kyle Shanahan wanted to find a guy to take the reins from CMC, this would probably be the guy he would love. He would love Ahmad Hardy because he follows his blocks, he's patient, everything else, and he fits that scheme. But being such a guy that does absorb contact, even though he's able to make guys miss and everything. When you are that frame, it does bring up some of the concerns overall, Keith. So I'm with you on that. For me, it's the receiving productivity and versatility. He's not a guy that caught the ball a lot. He's just not a guy that produced a ton when it pertains to catching the football.
And by a lot, DP, if the stats are right, per ESPN, he had 6 catches.
Yes, 6 catches.
For a total of 22 yards. So there we go. Yeah. That's not very much production at all.
That's not much at all. So it's like going into the league, I will say that I think he's good in pass pro, but that's the thing. We've seen guys be good in pass pro in college, and then you get to the NFL, it's like this is a different ball game. You know what I mean? When you got a 245-pound, 50-pound linebacker that runs 4.4 full speed ahead through the A gap, and he's untouched. Now you got to step up and be able to deliver a blow and slow him down without getting knocked over, right? I think that's usually, if you ask most of these rookie running backs, that might be that welcome to the NFL moment. That first simulated pressure look where they get a free run. It was like, oh, this ain't sweet. This is not college. Like, these are grown men with families, and they're trying to knock me out to get to the quarterback, right? So I think, for me, I think he's good in pass pro right now. We'll see if it translates to the league. But in terms of 3-down productivity or 3-down projection, that's the other part of it. Yeah, you don't run a lot of routes. And so are you a guy that's going to have to be, because as you talked about, Keith, like Jeremiah Love, Jahmyr Gibbs, Bijan Robinson, even especially with Bijan, right? CMC, you got back Saquon, you got backs that I don't have to give you 20 carries. I need to figure out how to give you 20 to 25 touches.
Touches, period. Yeah.
You know what I mean? And Because
I think for him, DP, it would help because if it could put him on a perimeter and limit the amount of contact that he had, like and trying to explain it from was that I talked about this earlier, was just that it seems that everybody in range makes contact with him, right? And he eventually gets past those guys. Like it's like he goes through the obstacle course of contact and then breaks free. It's not that he just boom breaks free or like it's immediate speed to okay, I'm gonna outrun this linebacker to the sideline and turn upfield, right, and get the touchdown. It's not that. It's I'm gonna make contact with the DN, I'm gonna make contact with the linebacker, I'm gonna make contact with the safety, and then I'll break free.
Yeah, no, that's kind of how it is. Especially, I think he's a guy that's probably going to be best suited to like also eliminate some of that. From an NFL standpoint, he gets drafted to a team with a quarterback, right? Like, what's the best way to lighten the box? Throw the football, right? Like, have a quarterback that teams have to fear, and then also OCs keep out of these heavy bunch set. Don't want to be running a bunch of 13 because you're just bringing defenders in the box, and he's going to have to deal with that contact. But I was going to say the same thing, Keith. I would love to see him more involved in the pass game for everything you said. You're out there, you typically it's you in the corner, you in the DB, or you in the linebacker. Running between the tackles or running wide zone and having to cut up instead of, bend, bang, or bounce, like figure out which one you're going to do. And you get north and south, you got a linebacker waiting on you, got a corner coming from the perimeter, you got a safety at 12 yards, triggering to the alley, and you got defensive tackles, a defensive lineman trailing from behind, trying to get to you as well. And it's just, that's going to be a big thing for me is like, okay, because like I think you talked about yesterday with Jeremiah Love. When you turn on the tape and see Jeremiah Love running routes out of the slot, out of the backfield, things like that, like he looks like a freaking pseudo wide receiver out that slot receiver. And you're like, man, I can deploy you in different ways. And that's what made like Alvin Kamara so beneficial with Mark Ingram. Like, hey, I don't have to play you at the backfield all the time. I can move you around. We can create matchups. And a good OC is going to really play with the eyes and give you eye candy from a second level defender standpoint. So yeah, but if Ahmad Hardy is more just only a runner, that limits your ceiling in the NFL because you're not 6 foot, 215, 220. Again, he's dense and they say he's like 5. I think they said guy listed at 5'10.
Yeah,
he got listed at 5'10, 205. He looks a little bit bigger than 205 than me. I think he looks more like
220.
He looks a little bit more than 205 to me, but I wouldn't be shocked if he's like 5'9". You know what I mean?
Right.
I think that happened with Genty. I think Genty came in at 5'9" or something like that. If I'm not mistaken. So yeah, it's the receiving ability. Whether it's a situation where it's like with Todd Gurley, where hey, we just didn't unlock it because we didn't utilize it, or is that just something that you're not really? It's not a strength to your game. And if it's not a strength to your game, it could limit your snap count and your snap share on the field, where some OCs want to run you as the main bell cow. You may not be able to be utilized in that regard if you can't catch the ball or run a well-balanced route tree out of the backfield.
Yeah, and no, DP, I just looked it up. Ashton Genty came in at 5'8.5" at the NFL Combine. So it was under the 5'9". Under the 5'9".
I wouldn't be shocked if he came in at 5'8" either, to be honest with you.
No, I agree. All right, let's do this, DP. Let's drop the draft grade, right? The big reveal. What grade do we have on Ahmad Hardy entering the 2026 college football season? We'll discuss that coming up next.
Thank you for making Locked On NFL Draft your first listen of the day, and thank you for making the Locked On Podcast Network the #1 sports podcast network in America. It's all because of you, Keith, explaining the grade, giving out our grades, our summer scouting grades for Missouri star running back Ahmad Hardy. Came again, guys, transferred from ULM, had over 1,300 yards rushing there, jumped to the SEC, and he handled it like it was just easy as Sunday morning, right? He handled it with no problem. He going into year 2 in the SEC, his third year college football. What grade do you have for him right now as an NFL prospect?
Yeah, I'm gonna give him a first round grade, DP. I'm gonna give him a Pro Bowl caliber grade. I believe I've seen enough from the capacity of his ability to be effective, right? And obviously, it's a big step up going from ULM playing in the Sun Belt or the American. They
I think it's
keep moving
Sun
stuff around. Yeah, even on the Group of 5 level, they keep moving around. And so now playing in the SEC. But I'll say this: Missouri is a good football program, right? But it's
Mm-hmm.
not like he consistently had the dominant talent, neither, right? Like
Right.
they play well, they play discipline, stuff like that, respectable opponent. But it's not that they're littered with 15 NFL draft picks, right? So
Right.
most of the times he was playing kind of having to play up, right, in the sense of to match the other team, or it was
Yeah.
even potentially. So I look at his effectiveness. I looked at the yards that he had, 1,600 yards, 16 touchdowns in the SEC. Some of the games that he played well, right? South Carolina, 138 yards.
Yeah.
Texas A&M, right, which we know they have a really good defense in front, 13 carries for 109 yards. Mississippi State, I don't know if Mississippi State didn't offer him, and this young man is from Mississippi, or if they pulled the offer, or I'm not sure what happened. But he tore Mississippi State up for 300 yards. So
He
whatever it
dominated
was, Mississippi State did him something.
Mississippi State has been like between Ahmad Hardy and Arch Manning. Like y'all pissed somebody off, one of these two guys off at some point because their best games came against y'all.
Yeah, to put up 300 yards, that's impressive. But I'll say this, DP. I gave him a Pro Bowl caliber grade, first round. I think right now, as we're flushing through these players, the top end, we still had to get to the defensive side of the football. I put him top 10 to 12 that we've went through so far. I like the wide receivers that we went through, but obviously I have him over Charlie Becker right now. We went through a bevy of quarterbacks. I think before you may reach on some of those quarterbacks, you take a solid running back like that. But I want to get into this, the comps. You threw out a name last segment that was interesting. I didn't think about it, but very from a stature standpoint, Mark Ingram. You mentioned that, and I was like, okay, that's interesting. The guy I went with, and this is lofty expectations, right? But I just thought of, okay, what if the ceiling is this? Then what could he be? I thought of Frank Gore. And it was interesting that you mentioned Kyle Shanahan, because I was like, okay, he's about to take my comp. He's about to go there with the Frank Gore situation and the 49ers. But I thought of Frank Gore. Frank Gore, I think he came out into the NFL at 5'9", 215 pounds. They're very similar in the stature. Frank Gore wasn't a guy that necessarily ran away from people, right? Like he wasn't an elite athlete thing. He was the same thing. It was contact balance, it was vision, it was good footwork, and going downhill and getting his pads north and south. So that's what he kind of reminded me of, a Frank Gore type.
No, I like that, Keith. I like that because it was two other ones that came to mind for me. One was Ray Rice. Back came out of the 2008 class. He was 5'9", 200 pounds. He ran 4.42. Put up like 23 reps on the bench press. And then the other one, Keith, that came to mind was another kind of a throwback and everything. And probably the younger generation that's going to hear this name. It's probably, man, hold up. Tell me the guy from NFL Network. Yes, Maurice Jones-Drew is one that came to mind as well. MJD. And I remember watching him at UCLA. But I forgot that he was on the shorter end. He was 5'6" and 3/4.
Yeah, but he was only like closer to like 5'5". Like he was.
He was 5'6" and some change for almost 210 pounds. But he was an explosive athlete. 4.39 to 40, 1.53, 10-yard split. He also had a vertical jump of 36 and everything. He put up like 18 reps on the bench and whatnot. So that kind of Maurice Jones-Drew, Ray Rice type of comp is what came to mind. I give him a top 20 grade, Keith, top 20, top 15 grade in the first round. If he expands as a pass catcher, where he's not, because there's the reason why I say that, guys, is like you have functional receiving options. That's the last resort. Like, okay, everybody downfield covered. I check it down and just let my running back get what he can get. Then there's weapons, right? Like, so there's functional and there's weapons. If he can fall somewhere in the middle of that, right? Like just being more than functional, not totally a weapon, but more than functional as a pass catcher, where, hey, we can split you out without a problem, split you out into the slot, move you around, things like that, and you actually can run some routes and create and be somewhat of a weapon as a pass catcher. That's going to elevate his draft stock for me overall, Keith. But I definitely think he's and if guys, if you haven't picked up what we've been putting down, he would probably right now, he is our RB1 at the moment over, because I think you had you had Kiwan like second round. I had him late first.
Yeah,
we both have Ahmad Hardy as a clear first round prospect.
You know who's another decent comp for him? And because I was just looking at first round running backs. And this young man, I believe, went in the first round. Josh Jacobs. And I thought Josh Jacobs was actually taller, but he's listed at 5'10", 220 pounds. And Josh is very similar from the perspective of there's not an elite speed trait, but he has lateral cuts. He has good vision. He has contact balance. You know, kind of all of those things wrapped into one to where he's a good running back. And like I said, these guys, they remind me of old school backs, right? To where they have the thick lowers and they're going to bowl through people. They're going to run some people over. And you're drafting them to give them 20 carries a game, right? And so I found Josh Jacobs too. I was like, you know what? That's a fairly interesting comp too. So
I remember Josh at Bama. Like he didn't have like the full workload as a starter.
Yeah, he did.
He was good. He was darn good at Bama. And I think it was a playoff game. Might have been Oklahoma. I remember him getting the run and just running over, I think, a safety in the middle of the field and then walked in for a touchdown. I was like, that might have been the play that gets you drafted. You know what I mean? That might have been the play that gets you drafted, Josh. And he was a first-round pick for the Raiders, and he was good for them. And we've seen what he's done for Green Bay. He's got to keep himself out of trouble off the field for whatever's going on this offseason. But very talented. I never thought about Josh Jacobs as a comp, but that fits. I mean, there's a lot of short running backs that Ahmad Hardy kind of, that kind of Spider-Man meme where they're all just pointing at each other. Like, hey, we all play similar. Like, Ahmad Hardy is one of those.
Yeah, no, I agree. I'm gonna ask you this, DP. Do you think, as currently constructed, that like the way he operates, that this can be a guy that can be a top 10 lock, like without the passing production stuff like that? Like, if you just draft him for what he's shown thus far on film, do you draft him as a runner, as a top 10? I'll even stretch it to top 15 pick.
Top 15 easy. Top 10 is going to be a little bit difficult just because, which we get, like you said earlier, I get to the defensive side of the ball with these edge rushers and corners that we're going to be talking about. I think that might be a little difficult, but top 15, 100%. I absolutely think he's a top 15 lock for me. Long as he, let me preface this. Long as he doesn't go to the combine and like smoke his 40, like, you know what I mean? Like in a negative sense.
Yeah, he has to run a 4.4 something.
Like 4.4, 4.5 at minimum. Don't anywhere close to 4. Like, dear God, no. 4. Like we need.
I don't think honestly, I'm worried that he may not be able to run a 4.5 and still get drafted that high. Just if the passing production part is not a part of it. You know what I'm saying? Like if that part is not a part of it.
Stay healthy too. Like with that run style, got to stay healthy this year. It's some things he's got to keep online so that he can make sure he's good to go. And if he does that, he'll be fine. I think he can lock himself in his top 15, top 20 pick. But the passing game, that's what's going to elevate you in the NFL. Because if teams feel like, hey, the only way we play on third down is just for pass protection, it's for some quarterbacks, it's like, no, I want my running backs to be able to catch the ball and get busy in space. You know what I mean? And
I need that check, though. I need that check.
Absolutely. Like, I need somebody that can run that Texas, that angle route. And if we got man-to-man, like I always go back to it. Brock Purdy, if he got CMC back there, you're not running man-to-man coverage. You can't. Your linebackers can't cover CMC. Like, so it's like, all right, I'm forcing you in the zone now. And you may not be comfortable doing that because that's what Brock Purdy's going to slice and dice you. He gets zone coverage, or he's hitting them dead spots in your coverage all game long. But you go, man, he's like, okay, cool. I'm running this Texas route with CMC, and I will spam it like a 12-year-old gamer 5 times in a row if I got to. They're going to call it. That's why I want to see that part. Can you be that type of running back in terms of which some of the routes can you get open quickly to make yourself available and be somewhat of a weapon out of the backfield? If he's able to do that, Keith, he can really elevate himself.
Yeah, I agree. It's going to be interesting to see if the coaching staff even decides to, I guess, flush out the part of the passing game, right? Or they like, hey, you know what, let's stick with what works. Or if they know that may be a concern for him, right? Like he's not that great at it. Like we'll see, because that's very minimal numbers, DP. The 6 catches throughout the entire season, that's extremely minimal for any running back in any day and age, to be honest with you. But DP, that wraps up another episode, man, of the Locked On NFL Draft Podcast. I want to end this podcast off by saying shout out to our everydayers. Thank you for tapping in with us each and every single day. I am Keith Sanchez. You can find me on X at The Talent Code. That right there is my guy, my co-host, Mr. Damian Parson. You can find him on X at DP_NFL. Like we like to say, man, y'all can talk to us because we like to talk back.
Go subscribe and follow for free on YouTube, wherever you listen to podcasts, to get the latest episode as soon as it is available. Come and join the conversation again tomorrow on the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.